The numbers are striking, aren't they? They paint a vivid picture of a changing landscape. Back in 2000, the CDC reported that about 1 in 150 children were identified as being on the autism spectrum. This was the benchmark, the data point that defined our understanding at the time. Today, as we move through 2024, the statistics tell a very different story. Current estimates place it closer to 1 in 36 children. This isn't a minor shift, it's a significant leap. It's a seismic change in developmental pediatrics and public health, demanding attention and resources. It's reshaping how we approach child development and well-being. The surge in diagnoses has sparked debate, igniting discussions among experts and the public alike, and left many asking, is there a true epidemic unfolding before our eyes, a rapid and concerning spread? Or are we simply becoming more adept, more skilled, and more informed when it comes to recognizing the nuances of autism? The answer is complex, a multifaceted puzzle with no single easy solution. Increased awareness undoubtedly plays a significant role. Evolving diagnostic criteria, constantly being refined and updated based on new research and understanding, also contribute. And better screening tools and practices allowing for earlier and more accurate identification all play a role in these rising numbers. It's not just about statistics. It's not just cold, hard numbers on a page. It's about people, real individuals and families navigating the world. And how society's definition of normal changes over time, influencing what we recognize and accept. The rise in prevalence isn't simply more people becoming autistic. It's not a sudden surge in the condition itself. It's a reflection of our growing ability to see what was always there, to recognize the diverse ways in which human minds can function. This shift influences educational resources, demanding more inclusive and supportive learning environments. Research, pushing scientists to explore the complexities of autism and develop effective interventions and support systems for families, providing guidance, understanding, and a sense of community. The narrative of an epidemic can create fear, leading to misconceptions and anxieties surrounding autism. But the truth is more nuanced, far more intricate and layered than a simple label can convey. We're in the midst of a social and medical reevaluation, a period of profound learning and adaptation. We're learning to recognize a form of human variation, a spectrum of neurological differences, that was once overlooked or misunderstood, often leading to misdiagnosis or a lack of support. The story of rising numbers, while seemingly alarming, is also the story of a community emerging from the shadows, finding its voice and advocating for its needs. To understand this complex shift, we must look back at how autism was first defined, examining the historical context and the limitations of early understanding, and how those definitions have broadened, expanded, and become more inclusive over time. Today's statistics are the result of decades of evolving understanding, a testament to ongoing research and advocacy. They reflect our society's growing capacity, our increasing ability to embrace neurodiversity, to listen to autistic people, to truly hear their experiences and perspectives, and appreciate neurological diversity, recognizing the value and contributions of all minds. The numbers tell a story of progress, understanding, and acceptance. And it's one we're all a part of, a collective journey towards a more inclusive and equitable world. A diagnosis is more than just a word scribbled on a piece of paper. It represents so much more than that. It's a gateway. It's a key that unlocks understanding, opening doors to resources and support systems that can make a world of difference. Before a diagnosis is made, a child's unique behaviors, stemming from their neurodivergence, might be misinterpreted. These behaviors are often seen as defiance, a lack of discipline, or simply poor parenting, leading to unfair judgment. This misinterpretation can lead to immense confusion, frustration, and a sense of isolation for both the child and their family. Receiving a formal autism diagnosis can bring a profound sense of relief, like a weight being lifted. It offers a new lens through which to view past struggles, providing explanations and paving the way for future possibilities and a more tailored approach to support. It validates both a parent's intuition, that feeling that something was different, and an individual's lived experience, giving them a framework to understand themselves better. Diagnosis is often the first step towards self-acceptance, fostering a sense of identity and belonging. It also opens doors to finding community, connecting with others who share similar experiences and understand the nuances of autism. Beyond the emotional impact and validation, it's a gateway to essential services and interventions like classroom aids, specialized therapies tailored to individual needs, and workplace accommodations that promote success. Without it, many autistic people must navigate complex social and professional environments without the crucial support they need to thrive. However, it's important to acknowledge that the label can also carry stigma, leading to misconceptions and prejudice. This stigma can lead to lowered expectations from others, limiting opportunities, or outright discrimination in various aspects of life. For some, receiving a diagnosis is liberating, empowering them to understand themselves and advocate for their needs. For others, it brings new challenges, including navigating societal biases and internalizing negative stereotypes. The decision to seek a diagnosis is deeply personal and should be made with careful consideration of individual circumstances and potential impacts. The impact of a diagnosis varies greatly from person to person, reflecting the diverse experiences within the autism community. Understanding why the label matters and the complexities surrounding it, both for its potential benefits in accessing support and its potential burdens in terms of stigma, is key to appreciating the multifaceted autism landscape and fostering a more inclusive and understanding society. Ultimately, it's about access to resources, affirming identity, and recognizing the inherent power of being seen, heard, and understood. Autism is not one thing. It's not a singular entity that can be easily defined or understood with a simple checklist. It's a spectrum, a constellation of traits, behaviors, and characteristics that manifest uniquely in each person, like stars scattered across the night sky. One individual may be non-speaking, relying on alternative methods like a tablet to communicate their thoughts and needs, while another may be a highly articulate professor, capable of lecturing on complex subjects, yet still struggles with subtle social cues and unspoken social rules. This vast diversity and range of presentations makes diagnosis particularly challenging, because unlike many other conditions, there's no definitive blood test or brain scan that can provide a clear-cut answer. Instead, clinicians must rely on observing patterns of behavior and carefully reviewing the individual's developmental history. Clinicians look for persistent differences and challenges in social communication and interaction, alongside the presence of restricted, repetitive behaviors, interests, or activities. But the specific expression and intensity of these traits can vary widely from person to person. The line between what might be considered mere eccentricity or a quirky personality and a clinical diagnosis of autism is often a very fine one. Early definitions of autism were often quite narrow and restrictive, leading to many individuals being missed, particularly girls and women, who often consciously or unconsciously mask their autistic traits in social situations to fit in. Recognizing this broader and more nuanced presentation of autism is absolutely crucial for achieving accurate and timely diagnosis. The diagnostic process itself can sometimes be contentious and fraught with disagreement. It's not uncommon for two experienced clinicians to observe the same person and arrive at different conclusions. And mislabeling, whether it's a false positive or a misdiagnosis, can have significant real-world consequences for the individual and their family. Therefore, the challenge lies in our ability to hold this inherent complexity in mind, to remember that autism is not a disease, but rather a broad and diverse category of human experience and neurodiversity, and certainly not a monolithic disorder with a single cause or a one-size-fits-all solution. Our understanding of autism has evolved significantly over time, but the spectrum's inherent diversity remains its most defining and important feature. Therefore, accurate diagnosis requires a high degree of nuance, specialized expertise, and above all, an open and empathetic mind. Ultimately, the goal is to see, understand, and support the full and beautiful range of autistic experiences, fostering a world where everyone can thrive. The DSM-5 is the main tool for diagnosing autism in the U.S., standardizing criteria nationwide. In 2013, it merged several diagnoses, like Asperger's and PDD-NOS, into Autism Spectrum Disorder, ASD. The DSM-5 requires persistent deficits in social communication and interaction, not just shyness, but fundamental differences in relating to others. The second domain restricted repetitive behaviors, intense interests, and unusual sensory responses. Symptoms must be present from early development and cause significant impairment in daily life. What counts as significant impairment is subjective, relying on clinical judgment. This makes diagnosis as much an art as a science. The criteria aim for consistency, but interpretation still varies. The sharp rise in autism diagnoses is due to many factors. Public and professional awareness has soared. Parents and teachers now recognize signs earlier. Diagnostic criteria have broadened, especially with the DSM-5, including more people on the spectrum. Access to services is often tied to an autism diagnosis, incentivizing its use. Diagnostic substitution means people once labeled with other conditions are now recognized as autistic. Environmental factors are still being studied, but the vaccine theory has been thoroughly debunked. The increase reflects reclassification and recognition, not an epidemic. We're finally seeing the full spectrum of neurodiversity. The rise in autism diagnoses is as much cultural as medical. For decades, autism was misunderstood, often blamed on parents and hidden from view. The internet and self-advocacy movements allowed autistic people to connect, share experiences, and challenge outdated models. They reframed autism as neurodiversity, a different way of being, not a disease. This shift led to a strengths-based approach, recognizing unique abilities alongside challenges. We now see autistic traits that were always present in our communities. The increase in diagnoses reflects our new language and empathy for these experiences. It's not an epidemic, but an awakening to diversity. We're learning to value what was once invisible. Misdiagnosis is a double-edged sword. Both underdiagnosis and overdiagnosis have serious consequences. Underdiagnosis often affects girls, women, minorities, and low-income families, leaving them unsupported and misunderstood. They may be mislabeled with other conditions and receive ineffective treatments. Overdiagnosis can occur when behaviors from trauma or anxiety are mistaken for autism. An incorrect label can lead to unsuitable interventions and confusion for families. Both errors can shape identity and expectations in harmful ways. The challenge is to ensure accurate diagnosis for those who need it without misapplying the label. Clinicians must balance expertise with humility. Getting it right is critical for support and well-being. The stakes are high for individuals and families alike. For families, the path to an autism diagnosis is rarely straightforward. It often starts with a parent's intuition that their child is different, sometimes dismissed by others. Navigating the healthcare and educational systems can be daunting, with long waits and bureaucratic hurdles. The evaluation process is emotional, requiring parents to recount their child's history and strengths. Receiving a diagnosis is a pivotal moment, but it's just the beginning. Families must become advocates, learning new systems and fighting for services. The journey is exhausting, but also filled with love, resilience, and community. Small victories and shared experiences become sources of strength. The story of autism diagnosis is one of progress, but challenges remain. We've moved from ignorance to greater awareness, but debates over criteria and access persist. The autism label is powerful, but it's only a starting point. True understanding means seeing the whole person, not just the diagnosis. We must listen to autistic voices and create a world that celebrates neurological diversity. This responsibility falls on clinicians, educators, employers, and all of us. Challenge your preconceptions and approach difference with curiosity and compassion. Read, listen, and support neurodiversity advocacy. The more we understand, the more inclusive our future can be. Let's see the world as a spectrum of human possibility. The conversation is ongoing. Every voice matters. Together, we can build a more humane and accepting world.